tell you, I did that much to my daughter. She saw me dancing after she paid her. She kept that look about the rest of her life.
Oh, God.
We called it the look.
If death could be, it's like,
Yeah,
death stare.
much too young to be doing that.
That was exquisitely beautiful. Thank you. Good morning. Buenos días y bienvenidos. I'm the Reverend Katie Romano Griffin. Soy una pastora aquí.
And I'm Jessica Sawyer, pronouns she, her, the worship associate for today's service. On behalf of the entire congregation, we welcome you to our worship service this morning.
Our words of welcome are filled with our deepest aspirations and call us all to embody beloved community as we share in an opening litany with the shared words of you are welcome here.
Whether you're joining us for the first time or you've been a member since our founding in 1951, You are welcome here.
Whoever you are, whomever you love, you
Are welcome here. Whatever your gender identity and expression, beliefs, or immigration status, you are welcome here.
However you arrived at this beloved place, in person or online,
You are welcome here. If you are joining us for the first time today, please raise your hand as you are comfortable and willing, so our greeters can offer you a welcome gift and a brochure that talks about Cedar Lane and also provides a place for you to share your information with us. Let's offer our guests a warm Cedar Lane welcome.
I'd like to draw your attention to the announcements page, which was right next to your orders of celebration. And if you happen to notice, they're also resting on an incredible resource table at the back of the room this morning. There's yarn and crochet needles and knitting needles and pipe cleaners and all kinds of wonderful things. So if you pay attention best and engage most fully when you have something in your hands to create or to play with, know that there's plenty of things for you to engage with in the back of the room. You can even color. We have small coloring pencils and coloring sheets. So do pick up an announcements sheet on your way back to the resource table throughout the service and get a little snapshot of what's happening here at Cedar Lane this week.
Our pastoral visitor today is Ann Meyer. She is available during and after the service to support you if you have a joy or a sorrow in your heart.
You know, something's happening next week. Does anyone know what's happening next week? I mean, Hanukkah's happening, right? Hanukkah's happening, and something else is happening too, Christmas Eve. And we have not one, not two, but 3 Christmas Eve services. We have a 4 p.m. family service, a 6 p.m. all ages service, and a 10 p.m. service on Christmas Eve. And then on Christmas Day, Reverend Abhi and his amazing wife Lolita are going to be hosting a dinner here at Cedar Lane. So if you're interested in the Christmas Day dinner, please see Reverend Abhi after service. And next Sunday, we have one service again. Same bat time, same bat channel, right here. And you can wear your pajamas because it's poetry and pajamas. That's right. And if that weren't enough, we have the most beautiful and delicious cookies to celebrate the many holidays which are happening this time of year. They are out in the lounge where the donuts are not today. But you will see these gorgeous, gorgeous cookies, and I promise you, they are beautiful and edible. They are delicious, so enjoy them. Now, let us turn and greet our neighbors, especially our new folks. Good morning. Good morning, Ken. Good to see you. Good morning. How's Vaughn? Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power. Spirit, draw near. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power. Spirit, draw
here in the midst of a season of celebration.
Celebrations of waiting in the nourishing dark, of the birth of new hope, of the festival of lights, of the triumph of freedom.
We've gathered with an anticipation of hope for peace on earth and in our homes.
We have gathered in this season of celebrations, seeking comfort to soften the pain and the losses of our lives have suffered in the fast retreating year.
We have gathered to worship joyfully within the season of celebrations, with the tenderness and love of family and friends around us.
Let us be embraced by the strength and power of this sacred space that we each bring as we create this beloved community.
Let joy and sorrow join in the fullness of our living.
And let the power and strength we embody join us together as we move through the seasons of celebration into a new year with a new vision of hope for peace on earth.
As Kay and Tom come forward to kindle the chalice, please rise in body or spirit to share the chalice lighting words on the screen. We kindle the chalice flame this holiday season, a chalice of hope where despair keeps watch, a chalice of courage for futures ever present, a chalice of peace for tempest-tossed days, a chalice of grace to ease heavy burdens, a chalice of love to inspire all our living, a chalice of joy amidst the sadness, a chalice that will burn all year long in our hearts and minds. Please remain as you are to sing, O come, Emmanuel.
and render Advent is a season of expectant waiting that begins 4 Sundays before Christmas in the Christian liturgical calendar. It is a time to wake up, slow down, sit still, listen, and wait. A kind of expected, engaged waiting with one another. Advent's call to wait is not provisional time, it is time in itself. It is a chance to brood creatively. We wait so that we can catch up with ourselves. We wait because we can imagine far ahead of our ability to embody the aspirations and hopes that we carry. So how will we wait this Advent? For some of us, there is no nativity, no birth of anything new, no star, no rebirth of wonder. The lights, the special foods, the singing, the gifts seems not meant for us, as if it were a party someone else gave to which we weren't invited. Whether that is because this Christmas tradition is not your own, or you are sick of the crass commercialism, or you are in mourning, or you are depressed. There are some times when it doesn't speak to you. There is no there. And for those of you who may be feeling this way, I want you to know that is okay. If you happen to be having one of those kinds of years, there is some benefit in making the most of your waiting for it to be over. But it is what we do with the waiting that makes a difference. There is a saying in Buddhist thought that says to come to all things in life with a beginner's mind. Looking at each day as if it were the first day we ever saw. Coming to each moment in our life not with certainties and definite opinions, but open, new, like a child with holy curiosity. We could learn to wait like that. Or we could wait during this season so that inner events can take place in the midst of all the external hoopla. You may be familiar with this story of Mullah Nasruddin, the Sufi mystic, who one night was on his hands and knees underneath a street lamp looking and searching for something. And a friend comes by and says, "Mullah, what in the world are you doing in the middle of the night on your hands and your knees?" "Well, I dropped a gold coin," the mullah replied. So the friend got down on his hands and knees and to help, saying, "Show me where you dropped it and I'll help you find it." And the mullah replies, "Oh, I lost it a couple of blocks down in the meadow." "So why on earth are you searching here?" To which the mullah replies, "Well, because this is where the light is." Now, I have a feeling that some of us come to church because somehow we seem to have lost something. Maybe we're not even sure what we have lost or where we have lost it, but we are convinced that this might just be the place where the light is. If that is the case, good for us, because we are a place and a people where the light is. But we're more. We're also a place where we provide space for the blessings of endarkment, both and. Because if we rush too soon to banish the darkness with a blaze of light, we run the risk of becoming lopsided religious folk, when in truth, both realities can deliver wisdom and meaning to our lives. You see, to see clearly, we must be willing to dive into the dark, the inner abyss. Acknowledge what we may find there. Try to be present to it and wait for some while in that nourishing dark. So this Advent, what if we were to wait like the world is about to begin again? What if we wait heartbroken and worn out, but being with one another and remembering the fragile hope that is at the heart of the Christmas story? What if we take the time for centering down, be it only in minutes stolen from our busy days? What if we wait with expectant hope, knowing that the world that we live in is not the world we dream about? What if we were to find one another in all the twists and turns of our life's journey, and in turn be led into a world desperate for the work of our hands and our hearts? What if?
Thank you.
Emmanuel means God is with us. Who is your Emmanuel? Who is your God is with us? The one you were promised, the one you've been waiting for.
For the ancient prophet Isaiah, he was a boy soon to be born who would guide the people of Judah back to peace and harmony with God. He would bring hope for victory and greatness in the tribe. He would be a gift from God to his chosen people. Who is your Emmanuel? Your God is with us.
For Christians, he is Jesus of Nazareth, the baby in the Christmas story, who grew to be a remarkable teacher among the Jewish peoples, whose ideas about love, forgiveness, and justice changed the world forever. Who is your Emmanuel? Your God is with us.
Perhaps your Emmanuel is a spiritual or political leader working for the rights of the oppressed, a Martin Luther King Jr., a Mahatma Gandhi, a Mother Jones. Perhaps in their work with people, you feel God is with us. Who is your Emmanuel? Your God is with us.
Perhaps your Emmanuel is an artist, bringing transcendence to the human spirit and lifting our hopes and dreams into the light. A Duke Ellington, a Martha Graham, a Langston Hughes. Perhaps in the presence of great beauty and creativity, you feel God is with us. Who is your Emmanuel? Your God is with us.
Perhaps it is a child created from our bodies, the child who is filled with the potential to do every great thing. Your promise from God that the world has hope for justice and beauty, for in the presence of a child, we too can feel that God is with us all. Please rise now in body or in spirit to sing The Dark of Winter. The words are on screen.
Dark of winter, soft and still, your quiet calm surrounds me. Let my thoughts go where they will, ease my mind profoundly, and then my soul will sing a song, a blessed song of love eternal. Gentle darkness, soft and still, bring your quiet to me. Darkness, soothe my weary eyes, that I may see more clearly. When my heart with sorrow cries, comfort and caress me, and then my soul will sing and rejoice, a still small voice of love eternal. Darkness, when my fears arise, let your peace flow through me.
Journey with me into the darkness of the longest night. My family has that we do each and every year on the longest night. We turn off all the lights in our home, we close all of the curtains, and we gather in a single room and we tell a story. We tell a story of what it might have been like for some of our ancestors on a longest night, when resources were thin and sickness was high, and the family and their livestock and what was left of the harvest were all huddled together in the same place, perhaps around a fire, telling stories, sharing wisdom, remembering those that we had lost, playing games, maybe even dancing by the firelight, simply waiting. Waiting and hoping that the sun would return, that the snow would melt, and that the seeds in the fields that were fallow would somehow begin to germinate through the cold days and would one day bring forth life again. And after the story's told, we rest together in silence, just allowing the darkness to hold us until a light is sparked. And we celebrate the return of the sun. Not just with joy and excitement for the return of the light, but gratitude for the darkness that holds us, that time of mystery, that time that reminds us to pull our loved ones closer. Because having our loved ones close, this too is fleeting. The memories we make in the times of rest, the memories we allow to settle with us in the darkness, also hold us through the time of light. So I invite you to breathe with me and use your imagination and just imagine that dark room, even with the sun streaming through. Let us be warmed by the light, yet settle with our eyes closed, just simply breathing into the presence of this moment which is made holy by choosing to be in community. In this time of rest, in this time of darkness, when we are not distracted by the light, this is the time when our still small voice can sometimes move from a very silent whisper to something louder. The darkness is a time when our yearnings for something more clarify into a vision of what we would truly love. Let's take a moment to listen to our still, small voices together. And as I read these words from Rebecca Parker, I invite you to let the words and the notes of the music simply wash over you as you listen to that inner voice. Perhaps for a moment, the typewriters will stop clicking. The wheels stop rolling. the computers desist from computing, and a hush will fall over the city. For an instant, in the stillness, the chiming of the celestial spheres will be heard as the earth hangs poised in the crystalline darkness and then gracefully tilts. Take a nice deep breath and let it out. Let there be a season when holiness is heard and the splendor of living is revealed. Stunned to stillness by beauty, we remember who we are and why we are here. There are inexplicable mysteries. We are not alone. In the universe, there moves a wild one whose gestures alter Earth's axis toward love. In the immense darkness, everything spins with joy. The cosmos enfolds us. Let us breathe into the cosmos which enfolds us. We are caught in a web of stars, cradled in a swaying embrace, rocked by the holy night. Babes of the universe. Let this be the time we wake to life, like spring wakes in the moment of winter solstice. May it be so.
Turns into darkness as we begin the longest night of all.
Watching blazing light is fading on the longest night of all.
Looking around, we see the darkness turning within. We hope for light. Here in our circle, deep and dreaming, silent we wait throughout the night.
Thank you. Hanukkah begins at sundown tonight, and Hanukkah means dedication in Hebrew. And this 8-day holiday commemorates the dedication of the temple in Jerusalem after it had been completely desecrated by the Syrian rulers who reigned in Judea. Legend tells us that when Judah Maccabee and his men secured the temple and started cleaning and purifying the temple, they found only one unopened cruse of oil, which was enough to light the great menorah for one day. But miraculously, the oil kept the menorah lit for 8 days until the temple was restored and purified and new oil could be made. How poignantly relevant that sounds to me as we here in the U.S. struggle to make sense of our own civic, spiritual, and religious values in these times. It is not always obvious what a positive assertion of principles and convictions and values will look like. The struggle of the Maccabees ended long ago, but the struggle for freedom, for equality, and inclusiveness and welcome continues to this day. For the Jewish people, Hanukkah is a reminder of who they are and how strong their faith can be. It is a time when they restore their inner spiritual temple, kindle the spirit of their families, bask in the glow of the small miracles in their own lives, and rededicate themselves to God and to life. And for those of us who are not Jewish, it shows us that outsiders can still play a meaningful part in Hanukkah. And our part is to defend religious liberty, to protect the pluralistic environment in which religions thrive and flourish free from oppression, and be good neighbors in a world where a culture of acceptance offers shelter to everyone. But keeping Hanukkah is not easy because it asks a lot of us, both Jews and non-Jews. It asks us to cultivate a certain discipline of the Spirit in the living of our days. See, it takes great discipline to acknowledge that peace is not a gift, but a struggle. It is tough to admit that peace ironically requires the same kind of organization and dedication that any soldier knows. It is hard to admit that peace requires the careful planning of a strategist and the attention to detail and passion of a good community organizer or labor union leader. It does. Peace does not come to earth if we put on blinders and say, there are no more tyrants that need to be resisted. Antiochus is dead, Hitler is dead, everything is okay, I can relax now. No, Hanukkah, like the later day holiday of Christmas, was born within a cradle of politics, not outside of it. And that political world asserts itself again and again. On the other hand, we will wear ourselves out if we spend too much time struggling for peace and justice, as if justice is only marches and relentless activism. Because social justice work without a devotional life, a prayer life, if you will, can grow shallow and self-aggrandizing in a short time. Without a well-honed sense of loving kindness, without compassion even for the lives of those we struggle against, peace will only be a temporary and tactical truce, not a way of life. And we will perish exhausted. So this Hanukkah, let us be attendant to the light within, the flame that continues to burn even when the odds are against it. Let us be about upholding and protecting dignity and freedom, and when the need arises, to rise up to even give our lives for it.
Come Down by Lynn Unger. Come down from the hills, declare the fighting done. Be bold, declare victory, even when the temple is wrecked, and the tyrants have not retreated, only coiled back like a snake preparing to strike again. Come down. Try to remember a life gentled by daily acts of domestic faith. The pot set to boil, the bed made up, the table set in calm expectation that when the sun sets, we will still be here. Come down and settle. Unlearn the years of hiding. Light fires that can be seen for miles, that dance and spark and warm the frozen marrow. Set lamps in the window. Declare your presence, your loyalties, the truths for which you do not expect to have to die. It would take a miracle, you say, to carve such a solid life out of the shell of fear. I say, you are the stuff from which such miracles are made. Please rise in body or spirit to sing Rock of Ages. The lyrics are on the screen.
Rock of Ages, let our song praise your saving power. You amidst the raging foes were our sheltering tower. Raging they assailed us, but your arm availed us, and your word broke their sword when our own strength failed us. Kindling new the holy lamps, praise unbound by suffering, purified the nation's shrine, brought to God their offering, and in land surrounding, hear the joy abounding. Happy throngs singing songs with a mighty sounding. Children of the prophet's word, whether free or scattered, wake the echoes of the songs where you may be scattered. Yours the message cheering that the time is nearing. We shall see nations free, tyrants disappearing.
At my core, I am a religious pluralist. And at my core, I'm also a religious humanist. A lot of the winter holidays just don't mean all that much to me. And so humanists can feel a little spiritually homeless during the holidays. Now, some humanists like to celebrate the solstice. Some, like me, choose to make something special out of New Year's. Some choose to celebrate whatever holiday they grew up celebrating because of that family tradition. And some humanists celebrate a holiday called Human Light. Now, Human Light was first celebrated in 2001 and was created specifically to have a humanist winter holiday. It's celebrated on December 23rd every year. Now, folks, like all holidays, celebrate in a wide variety of different ways. One that many choose to celebrate is lighting candles to represent reason, hope, compassion, and humanity. and it's usually spent with a family and friends over a communal meal. If you're a humanist who's looking for a winter tradition of your own, Human Light might just be right up your alley. Now, the spirit of Human Light brings to mind a very German word that our very own Chris Graham taught me about a month ago, and I apologize to all German-speaking people as I attempt to pronounce this. Gemütlichkeit. Gemütlichkeit. And sorry if I butchered that. Gemütlichkeit is not really a concept we have in the English language. It's a sense of warmth and coziness, but it also includes a component of peace of mind and a sense of belonging that rises from being accepted for who you are. Now, that's what I've always thought of as the Christmas spirit or the holiday spirit. And of course, they've got a single word for it, those crafty Germans, Gemütlichkeit. Say that with me, Gemütlichkeit. I actually have phonetically in my notes up here. So I think during the winter time, no matter what our religious tradition, we're all looking for that sense of warmth and coziness, and looking for that sense of acceptance for who you are and what you believe. And those are some of those universalist, humanist values that we can find in many of our holiday celebrations, no matter the tradition. So in this spirit, I want to share with you, without a doubt, my favorite humanist reading. Every time I read it, it gives me a sense of awe and wonder that's just so hard to put into words. This excerpt is from Carl Sagan's book, Pale Blue Dot. It was inspired by an image taken by the Voyager 1 starcraft on February 14th, 1990. In the image, Earth appears as a tiny point of light, a crescent only 0.12 pixels in size. Look again at that dot. That's here. That's home. That's us. On it, everyone you love, everyone you know, everyone you've ever heard of, every being who ever was lived out their lives. The aggregate of our joy and suffering, thousands of confident religions, ideologies, and economic doctrines, every hunter and forager, every hero and coward, every creator and destroyer of civilization, every king and peasant, every young couple in love, every mother and father, hopeful child, inventor and explorer, every teacher of morals, every corrupt politician, every superstar, every supreme leader, every saint and sinner in the history of our species live there, on a mote of dust suspended in a sunbeam. The earth is a very large stage in a vast cosmic arena. Think of the rivers of blood spilled by all those generals and emperors, so that in glory and triumph, they could become momentary masters of a mere fraction of a dot. Think of the endless cruelties visited by the inhabitants of one corner of this pixel on the scarcely indistinguishable inhabitants of some other corner. How frequent their misunderstandings, how eager they are to kill one another, how fervent their hatreds. Our posturings, our imagined self-importance, the delusion that we have some privileged position in the universe are challenged by this pale point of blue light. Our planet is a lonely speck in the great enveloping cosmic dark. In our obscurity and all this vastness, there is no hint that help will come from elsewhere to save us from ourselves. The earth is the only known world so far to harbor life. There is nowhere else, at least in the near future, to which our species could migrate. Visit? Yes. Settle? Not quite yet. Like it or not, for the moment, the earth is where we make our last stand. It has been said that astronomy is a humbling and character-building experience. There is perhaps no better demonstration of the folly of human conceits than this distant image of our tiny world. To me, it underscores our responsibility to deal more kindly with one another and to preserve and cherish that pale blue dot, the only home we've ever known.
That was beautiful. To think of being a part of such a vast web can almost make us feel full of awe, maybe even somewhat insignificant, and yet our daily life, our daily choices, who we are is in fact very significant. And I'm going to ask you to think today about the significance of your choices and what it means for us to truly be responsible to each other and for each other. What it means to be fully human, to recognize that we must save each other, save our neighbors, because our destiny is bound with theirs. As we enter this time of giving, we will be sharing the plate today. This time, not with an organization outside these walls, but with a special fund that exists within these walls. It's the minister's discretionary fund. It is a body of dollars. It is love made real by members of the congregation that is available when that surprise surgery hits, when the Social Security check didn't go to the bank like it was supposed to, and the electric is about to be shut off, when there's no food on the table because the job was lost. That fund is there for members to hold people. So I invite you in this time of giving to think of how we might save each other. And please give generously. Today's offering will now be received.
for the gifts that we are and the gifts that we bring and share to make this a beloved community. We are grateful.
Thank you, Bel Canto. Wow, that was just luscious. Thank you. A resilient hope in the midst of hardship, crisis, challenge, and hard realities of existence, in my opinion, is the true purpose of the Christmas story. The story as told in the Gospels is a far cry from the sentimental depictions we see on Christmas cards of a blonde-haired and rosy-cheeked baby and his ethereal-looking mother surrounded by cherubic angels, wise men, shepherds, and barn animals. It's actually the story of an unwed, pregnant, undocumented Palestinian teen and her fiancé who isn't sure if he is the father. It is a story of poverty and heavy taxes, a story of displacement and despotism, a story of hardship and difficulty. Now, pregnancy and birthing a baby are not easy. Just ask any mother, especially in those days. Shepherds in ancient times had a bad reputation. They were not the type of people you wanted in a delivery room, even if they had been visited by angels and had a wondrous experience. The Christmas story is not unlike most life stories, stories full of challenges and hardship, stories like yours and mine. And yet, in the midst of all that adversity and hardship, something remarkable and precious happens. Something stirs. Something is birthed. That something in the story is a baby, wrinkled and wet, crying and vulnerable. A new life, a new start, a new hope. And as the story seeps deep into the night, for a time at least, we let our cynicism and our fears draw back. We feel our weariness dissipate and maybe feel a sense of peace that we haven't felt in a long time. And once again, we realize how much we need this story, how much we need this time, and how much we need one another. Stories such as these capture the truth and tragedy of a world we live in, about our capacity for good and evil, bravery and cowardice, and about the hopes and fears and tragedies of our lives. But they don't stop there. These stories of young mothers, anxious fathers, stressed out small businessmen, outcast shepherds, and wayward magicians confess the truth that somehow, somewhere, God is mixed up in all of this. Now, God is not a God of the past, but the present. God is God of the living, of the here and now, with all its travails and tragedies. So this is what I know and I believe and hold on to, that hope is born again and again. It comes as a newborn infant. It comes with angels singing peace on earth and mercy mild, and it comes quietly, a hand held or a quick hug in the midst of grief. It comes with lowly shepherds crowding into a makeshift room. It comes with gifts from wise people who have traveled long and far under the guidance of a star. It comes despite our best efforts to resist it. It comes even when we weren't looking for it. It comes as generosity and abundance. It comes as beauty and joy, or as compassion and love. It keeps coming as the returning sun in midwinter, like the stars in the night, like a small candle lit in the darkness. It keeps coming. And I, for one, am hopeful, and I hope you are too. And in that spirit, I offer you one of my Christmas favorites, the Nativity Pageant by Unitarian Universalist minister Robert Fulghum. Our church had not had a full-blown Christmas pageant in years. For one thing, we had become fairly rational and efficient about the season, content to let the Sunday school observe the event on their own turf in a low-key way. Then, too, there was the last time we had gone all out. That week of the pageant coincided with an outbreak of German measles, chicken pox, and the Hong Kong flu. The night of the pageant, there was a sleet storm, a partial power failure that threw some people's clocks off, and one of the sheep hired for the occasion got diarrhea. That was about par for the course, since Joseph and two wise men upchucked during the performance, and some little angels managed to both cry and wet their pants. To top it off, the choir of teenagers walking about in an irresponsible manner with lighted candles created more a feeling of fear and fire and brimstone and the wrath of God than a feeling of peace on earth. I don't think it was really all that bad, and maybe all those things didn't happen in the same year, but a sufficient number of senior ladies in the church had had it up to here, with the whole hoo-ha and hoopla, and tended to squelch any suggestion of another pageant. But nostalgia is strong, and it addled the brains of those same senior ladies as they considered the pleas of younger mothers who had not been through this ritual ordeal and would not be dissuaded. It was their time that their children get their chance. And so, in short order, people who kept saying, "I ought to know better," were right in there making angel costumes out of old bed sheets, cardboard, and chicken feathers. One of the young mothers was pregnant, and it was made clear to her, in loving terms, of course, that she was expected to come with a real newborn child by early December. And she vowed to try. An angel choir was lashed into singing shape. A real manger with real straw was obtained. And while there was consensus on leaving out live sheep this time, some enterprising soul managed to borrow 2 small goats for the evening. But the real coup was renting a live donkey for Mother Mary to ride in on. Now, none of us had ever seen a live donkey ridden through a church chancel before, and it seemed like such a fine thing to do at that time. We made one concession to sanity, deciding to have the whole thing on a Sunday morning in the full light of day so we could see what we were doing. No candles either, and no full rehearsal. These things are supposed to be a little hokey anyway, and nobody was about to go through the whole thing twice. So the great day came, and everybody arrived at church. Husbands who were not known for regular attendance came, probably for the same reason they would be attracted to a nearby train wreck. Wasn't all that bad, really, at least not early on. The goats did get loose in the parking lot and put on quite a rodeo with their shepherds. But we hooted out the carols with full voice, and the angel choir got through its first big number almost on key and in unison. The star of Bethlehem was lit over the manger. It was time for the entrance of Joseph and Mary, with Mary riding on the U-Haul donkey, carrying what later proved to be a Raggedy Andy doll, since the pregnant lady was still overdue. It was the donkey that proved our undoing. The donkey took 2 hesitant steps through the door of the chancel, took a look at the whole scene, and seized up. Locked his legs, put his whole body in a cement condition well beyond rigor mortis, and the procession ground to a screeching halt. Now, there are things you might consider doing to a donkey in private to get it to move, but there is a limit to what you can do in church on a Sunday morning in front of young children and women. Jerking on his halter and some wicked kicking on the part of the Virgin Mary had no effect. So the president of the Board of Trustees, are you paying attention, Peggy? Seated in the front row and dressed in his Sunday best, rose to the rescue. The floor of the chancel was polished cement. And so with another man pulling at the halter, the president crouched at the stern end of the donkey and pushed, slowly sliding the rigid beast across the floor inch by inch by inch. And with progress being made, the choir director turned on the tape recorder, which blared forth a mighty chorus from the Mormon Tabernacle Choir, accompanied by the Philadelphia Orchestra. And just as the donkey and his mobilizers reached mid-church, the tape recorder blew a fuse, and there was a sudden silence. And in that silence, an exasperated voice from the backside of the donkey, "Move your butt, you stupid donkey," was actually, "Move your ass, you stupid donkey." Followed immediately by a voice from the rear of the church, the president's wife, "Leon, shut your filthy mouth." And that's when the donkey brayed. If we had held an election for jackass that day, there would have been several candidates mentioned. We are such fun to watch when we do what we do. And though it has been several years since the church held another Christmas pageant, we have not seen the last one. The memory of the laughter outlives the memory of the hassle. And hope always makes us believe that this time, this year, we will get it right. That's the whole deal with Christmas, I guess. It's just real life, only a lot more of it at once than usual. And I suppose we will continue doing it all, get frenzied and confused and frustrated and even quite mad, and also get excited and hopeful and quietly pleased. We will laugh and cry and pout and ponder, get a little drunk and excessive, spend too much as always. We will sing only some of the verses and some of them off key. We will do it again and again and again. We are the Christmas pageant, the whole damn thing. And I think it's best to just let it happen. As at least one person I know can attest, getting pushy about it is trouble.
Somebody built a manger down in Bethlehem. Somebody built a manger down in Bethlehem. Somebody built a manger down in Bethlehem, because an angel told me the king is on his way. Someone fill a lantern, someone light the way. Someone find a stable where Emmanuel can stay. Someone make him welcome, someone ring a bell. Spread the tidings, share the joy. Somebody go and tell everybody. Somebody build a manger down in Bethlehem. Somebody build a manger down in Bethlehem. Somebody build a manger down in Bethlehem, because an angel told me the king is on his way. Somebody clean the stable down in Bethlehem. Somebody clean the stable down in Bethlehem. Somebody clean the stable down in Bethlehem, me the king is on his way. Somebody light a lantern down in Bethlehem. Somebody light a lantern down in Bethlehem. Somebody light a lantern down in Bethlehem. Because an angel told me the king is on his way. Someone set the table, someone spread the news. Somebody find a pillow for the Prince of Peace to use. Someone make him welcome, someone ring a bell. Hear the tidings, spread the joy. Somebody go and tell everybody. Somebody spread the good news down in Bethlehem. Somebody spread the good news down in Bethlehem. Somebody spread the good news down in Bethlehem. Because an angel told me that the king is on his way. On his way. The king is on his way. Somebody build a manger.
Rise in body and or in spirit to go tell it on the mountain. The words are on screen.
Go tell it on the mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Go tell it on the mountain that Jesus Christ is here. While shepherds kept their watching o'er silent flocks by night, behold, throughout the heavens that shone a holy light. Go tell it on the mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Go tell it on the mountain that Jesus Christ is here. The shepherds feared and trembled, while low above the earth rang out the angel chorus that hailed the baby's birth. Go tell it on the mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Go tell it on Christ is born. Down in a lowly manger, the humble babe was born. And God sent us salvation, that blessed Christmas morn. Go tell it on the mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Go tell it on that Jesus Christ is born.
All right. Please remain as you are for these words from the Reverend John Gibbons. The Lost and Found pet notice reads as follows. Lost, one large and lively multicolored nondescript mutt. Ragged left ear, one-eyed, three-legged, missing tail. Answers to the name Lucky. Reward, beloved. And so the holiday is upon us, large, lively, multicolored, and hard to describe. The celebrations are a bit worse for wear, sometimes shabby, oft abused. We, the celebrants, at least those above a certain age, are a bit dog-eared ourselves. Some of us bear the scars of unfestive days past. Nonetheless, the old bounding mutt of December still answers to the name lucky. Despite all that is missing and all that is too much, there is in this season an abiding delight that we are still alive, still sniffing, still licking hands and faces, still barking at the moon, still risking life, limb, and tail, and still able to sleep and dream, curled warm on the rug. We are disfigured. Life has taken its huge toll. We are lucky to be living in these beloved days and beloved nights. May we find delight, and may delight also find us. There is a reward. And now let us remain rising and sing Angels We Have Heard on High, and in celebration of the 300th anniversary of Joy to the World. We'll sing one. Angels we have heard on high, seeking, singing all the plains at the